is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Please, in the chat, let me know how the audio sounds. I had some issues before I went live. Hopefully, I fixed it up, and I should sound probably about as clear as I've sound lately. So, we're hopefully we're good. So hey guys, oh baby, Miami Dolphins are 7-3. All right. So let's start off with some things here. I want to give out some game balls. I got to give out 2 game balls, and they're both going to the defense. Jalen Phillips, Jalen Ramsey, the Jalen twins. I mean, absolutely fantastic work by them. Jalen Phillips, 2 sacks and an interception. Jalen Ramsey, 2 interceptions. Both were incredible interceptions, and one of them sealed the game for us. So, hey, man, they get my game balls, and we're going to get into Jabroni of the week. Don't you worry lately. But if you want to know my overall takeaways from the game, and you don't have Twitter, and you don't see what I do every Monday morning, so basically here's overall my takeaways. Offensively, I thought it was ugly at times, but again, a win is a win in the NFL. You take them any way you can get them. I think McDaniel's play calling, especially on, 3rd, 4th down and short situations, continues to be very, very questionable. I mean, we read the stat yesterday during the game. Miami heading into yesterday was 27th in the NFL on 3rd and 3 or shorter, and 31st on 4th and 3 or shorter. The Dolphins are 31st in converting 3rd and 4th and 1 situations into 1st down. They're only converting them 42.9%. 31st in the NFL at converting 3rd and 4th and 1s. That's not good. That's not good. And the play calling, it comes into that. So, I thought even at the beginning Tua looked a bit off, especially with some of those throws early. Even though some of them were in stride, they weren't, at the chest. They were high. They had to be snagged out of the air. I thought Tyreek Hill was a force again, but I do get the sense sometimes that they overly do force the ball his way. It also seems defenses have honed in on that screen game involving him. Also, when Tyreek was out yesterday, we got a taste of Jalen Waddle as he came alive a little bit. A lot of us have speculated his step back this year is due to injury, but, man, he was flashing when he was featured yesterday. His play when Tyreek was off the field just confirmed that we need to get him involved more. This offense should be worried about being efficient in the wide receiver corps, not 2,000 yards for Hill. The team needs a legitimate tight end. Smythe's out, Julian Hill, Tyler Kroft just not good enough. So draft free agency, they need to make something happen. Raheem Mostert, he might be one of the most physical and hardest running backs in the NFL right now. He wasn't lying when he bulked up. You've seen him how many times now drop his shoulder and run through defenders. Absolutely love what I'm seeing. I hope Achane gets healthy and stays healthy because he's an element that will be much needed in this offense as we get into the December months, into the playoffs. Ahmed yesterday I thought had his best game of the season so far. Austin Jackson, you got to give him his credit for how he handled Max Crosby. He's absolutely phenomenal. And I still continue to have that sneaking suspicion that a team is going to pay Austin Jackson an amount that's too rich for the Miami Dolphins. I just have a feeling. The interior, anchored by Connor Williams, held its own yesterday. Lester Cotton was Liam Eichenberg, though. Are we continuing to witness a redemption arc for this guy? Jalen Ramsey is going to give Tyreek a run for his money as who's the best player on this team is right now. One thing I know for certain, Ramsey has been the best defensive back in football since he returned a couple of games ago, and it's no coincidence that this defense has found another gear since he came back as well. Thought X was good yesterday on the opposite side of Ramsey, but my Lord, what a great game from Kader Kohou yesterday. His instincts were on display, and boy, was he finishing his tackles. It felt like the defensive front, I said this during the stream yesterday, it felt like the defensive front was so good yesterday that the Long and Baker didn't even really have to do a lot of work. They didn't have to clean up very much. You know what I mean? Again, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, they looked like a top 5 tandem. They were sealing the edge, getting pressure, getting sacks. I thought Chubb had a very good game. I thought he had a very good game yesterday. You were feeling his impact in the run game, I felt. I also thought Zach Seiler had arguably his best game of the year. Raekwon Davis, He was getting some real nice push on that Raiders pocket, and he's looked better since he recovered from that wrist injury. Wilkins, he continues to look good. And I said it during the stream yesterday, I'll say it again. I'd move on from Jason Sanders, Jake Bailey, and Danny Crossman this offseason, but that's just me. I would really I would really get away from. I'm sorry, I would retool that special teams. I just would. I just would. Shout out to the homie PL. Said, want to let you know that your input, knowledge, and content has made my fan for the Miami Dolphins that much more enjoyable. A Phinside lifer here. I appreciate you, PL. Man, we've had some good conversations, me and you. Me and you have had some good conversations in Patreon, et cetera, et cetera. You're a good dude, man. You're a real one, that's for sure. And I appreciate you, good sir, for, holding me down the way you always have in time. And what I also appreciate a lot about you, PL, is, you siphon through the BS. I appreciate intelligent fans who are also not naive. I appreciate fans who will call out the BS when they see it. You know what I mean? Because more people, listen, the one thing I can say that Twitter is always going to be better at than YouTube, Twitter's way better at holding people accountable. Way better at holding people accountable who deserve to be held accountable. YouTube, not so much. YouTube, not so much, man. And, I think that's where as a community on YouTube, we need to improve there, and we need to hold people way more accountable than we have been. All right? Like, we really do. That's what I think. Now, for me, we're going to get into Jabroni of the week. A lot of stuff ties into the Jabroni of the week, so I'm holding off on that. We're going to get into that. Knight says Tua has apparently been killing himself since KC. Well, he did not sound happy with his performance yesterday. And listen, Tua's performance was, it was one of those things yesterday where the stat line was better than the performance yesterday. And I ended up being right. McDaniel did address that interception. I ended up being right. Right? Remember I said it looked like Jalen Waddle was running like a dig, an in-breaking route, and Tua looked like he threw like a corner, right? Like a post corner route type there. Like, he's coming across the field, so I guess a post. It looked like he threw a post or to the corner, to the pylon, because he was coming through the post. And that's what basically what happened, They said Waddle ran the underneath, Tua threw over top of the safety. So there was a miscommunication between Waddle and Waddle and Tua on that interception. Listen, I expected better from him yesterday as well. I thought he did enough in the first half of that game alone where we shouldn't have, after the third quarter in that Kansas City game with how it played out. Listen, we shouldn't have been throwing for a tie game. We should have been kneeling the ball, but people around him let him down. That being said, Tua still had a chance to tie the game and didn't do enough. So, it is what it is right now. It is what it is. No, Tua is off. You can tell in his throws. Go back and watch his throws early in the game yesterday. He's off right now. But we're winning, so, you'll figure it out. I ain't worried. Cheesy says, hey, I thought Tua had a noodle arm. How do you overthrow Waddle? He tell me. Remember, brother, even the big arms, people forget that Mahomes would get caught underthrowing Tyreek Hill all the time. It would happen regularly, right? So, all right, listen. Let's get into this. Let's start off the news because one thing leads to another here. So, for you guys right here, Zach Wilson has been benched, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Boyle is going to start on Friday against the Dolphins. That's hilarious. That's absolutely jokes to me. First of all, Tim Boyle has a career record of 0-3 as a starter. He has 3 touchdowns and 9 interceptions and a 50.9 passer rating. Does Robert Saleh really believe Tim Boyle is going to get it done with how our defense is playing right now? And to make matters even more interesting, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Zach Wilson's been benched, but he's been relegated to the number 3 quarterback. Tim Boyle is now the number 1 quarterback in New York, and it was announced today the number 2 quarterback, drum roll please, Trevor Siemian. So they're rolling in with Tim Boyle starting, Trevor Siemian backing up, and Zach Wilson as the number 3 quarterback. Why would you even activate Zach Wilson at that point? You might as well not even show up to the stadium. You might as well let the fans tailgate, get their rocks off, do their thing. You might as well not even show up. This is, bro, everything we expected we were going to see against Vegas, we're about to see right now. And it's not going to, there's a good chance it's not even going to be, it's going to be out of this game. As good as that Jets defense is, it's going to be out of their hands. It's literally going to be out of their hands. They are going to be dealing with an offense that's going to score 3 to 9 points probably against us. And there ain't no way you are holding us at least, under 17, right? That's the word. You at least can't hold us under 17 when we play good teams. So, this is going to be a SHIT kicking. That's what I think this is going to be. And sure, that defense over there might create a turnover for them, but what? Maybe they'll get a field goal out of it? Maybe, and if it's on our side of the field. And so, all this said, this now leads me to my Jabroni of the week. It's Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is the Jabroni of the week, and I'm going to tell you why. Listen, this QB situation and leaning into Zach Wilson the way you did when you knew this roster was good enough where you couldn't waste it on Zach Wilson and that's why you went out and got Aaron Rodgers. But now, because you've leaned on him so hard the way you have, because you've leaned on him, now what? Now the problem is this. Here's your problem now. You might lose this room. Your problem now is you might very well lose this room. You have played with such... I'm telling you, he's played with such fire right now you put this defense now. Think about this. You put this defense now in a position, quite frankly, where, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't get this right, look what you've done. This defense is going to resent you. They might lose the room because this isn't going to get better. Robert Saleh set them up where now they may lose the room. That's a real conversation to have. That they might very well lose the room. Because Tim Boyle's not going to make this situation any better. He's just not. That's literally where we are at right now. Tim Boyle is not going to make this situation better. And because you didn't, TCB, we always say it on the channel, TCB, take care of business. Because you didn't go out and get a proper backup, Aaron Rodgers ain't even going to touch this situation. Do you all really think they're going to win with Tim Boyle? Do you think they're going to win a game? I would start Trevor Siemian. At least he's won in the NFL. This could be a thing where we see Trevor Siemian by the second half. The Dolphins are in a very unique opportunity, I think, ladies and gentlemen. If we beat the Jets over the next 2 weeks, 2 times over the next few weeks, mark my words, that could be the final straw in Saleh's reign in New York. Because him and Joe Douglas, didn't handle their business. They knew Zach Wilson wasn't good enough to lead this team. They went out and got Aaron Rodgers. And then Saleh was asked about, do you regret not bringing on a backup? Oh, no, he was number 2. We thought he'd have a chance to learn. Come on, man. We all knew what this disaster was. And, hey, I'm here for it. Another AFC East team that's probably going to implode. But he has set them up for complete and utter disaster. And I think the Dolphins beating them twice in multiple weeks may cost him the room if the quarterback situation hasn't already. I mean, you want to see Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh in video form? Look at this. Look at this. Could you talk about any more symbolism right here? Saleh going down with Zach Wilson, baby. There's some symbolism for you from yesterday's game. One more time. That video speaks 1,000 words. That's how this is going to... He is going to end up going down because he leaned on Zach Wilson. Should have never done it. And he's going to pay for it now. And now they're in a position where they got to trot out Tim Boyle. Good luck to you, Robert Saleh. Good luck to you, sir. It's over. It's done. And we might be the nail in the coffin. We are in the Nathaniel Hackett, that was a terrible addition too. Just saying, let's, I think we are in a unique position to douse out that Saleh Jets flame. And we are in a unique position to basically put him in the unemployment line, I think. I really think we're going to beat them twice, and you're going to see at the end of the season, it's going to come down to the Saleh, Zach Wilson stuff, and, and what we do to them, because it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad for them, right? So, before we get into the snap counts and the next-gen stats and the PFF, because we do got some stuff to go over, I wanted to give you guys quickly this update. Running back Achane, won't need surgery on his knee, but his injury on Sunday leaves his status in doubt for Friday's game at New York. McDaniel said Monday afternoon he was feeling better this morning. It's not going to require surgery. We're getting extra feedback and opinions and taking that day by day. Though his status for Friday seems highly questionable, McDaniel wasn't ready to make a definitive statement on the matter. There's a chance he will or won't play Friday. They definitely would not rule it out or rule it in. Achane missed 4 games with a sprain on the same knee. So the knee he took a hit on the outside of that right knee. That's the report we got yesterday. So that was the same knee he had already sprained. And he had missed 4 games with it. He played only 3 snaps and had 1 carry for 1 yard before walking off with a knee injury. You have the same guy land on the same knee in a similar fashion, McDaniel said. It's not abnormal for that to occur. McDaniel said Achane had never had this type of injury in his football career, adding that this is a new process with this player, so we're trying to feel it out. It's a little complicated. McDaniel said running back Chris Brooks is an option to return, but he's not sure when. Brooks has been on injured reserve since sustaining an ankle injury on October 15th. If the Dolphins bring him back, they will have only one other slot left to bring back a player who's on injured reserve, whether that be Isaiah Wynn or Eric Izakama. Teams can bring back 8 players off of injured reserve in a single season. Miami has already brought back 6. McDaniel said the 5 injured players who didn't play on Sunday, Robert Hunt, Robert Jones, Chase Claypool, and Braxton Berrios, and tight end Durham Smythe, will be questionable for Friday. Everybody who didn't play had their eyes on this game. And there you go. There you go. And then for no Jeff Wilson usage, Wilson said Jeff Wilson Jr. was a healthy scratch against Vegas because the team needed additional receivers active and because Salvin Ahmed offered some value on special teams for that particular game. Wilson has only 7 carries in 4 games. So Asked if he's the same player physically as last year in light of the injuries, McDaniel said, I see the same spirit, the same athlete. He's a guy I know will contribute for us this season, and he's been patient while he waits for his opportunity. So, you know, that's kind of what we figured yesterday, that because of Ahmed's ability to impact special teams, that's why he was active and Jeff Wilson wasn't. And there you go. We got confirmation on the fact for all of you guys. So, hey, man, hey, keep him healthy. Maybe he can contribute heading into the playoffs and during the playoff run, right? Hopefully he can contribute a lot better than what he did against the Bills last year. That's for sure. Scotty says, he asked me, he says, Reason, is there any real shot when returns? Listen, I've been told expect him to be out for the season. Neil's been told out for the season. Maybe if we make a deep playoff run, he might come back, but I don't know. I think, yeah, man, I could see, you want to know something crazy? You want to hear something crazy, Robert? I could see Saleh, McDermott, and Belichick all get moved on from their franchises this offseason. Mike McDaniel could be the only returning coach next. That's a real possibility. I think at least 2 of the 3. I mean, we're hearing the reports of the Patriots are willing to trade Belichick to another team, so it's a cleaner break. Saleh, that's me speculating, and I think we can all pretty much know McDermott is on a... If that team misses the playoffs, McDermott's gone. And that would be awesome, Robert. I agree 110%. So, let's get into the snap counts. Let's get into the PFF grades, the next-gen stats. And then let's get into a look at the playoffs, an interesting Tua stat. And, we're going to look into more why I think this offense is struggling right now. That's one of the key questions. Why is this offense struggling? We'll get into that. So let's go over the stuff from yesterday before we do, though, okay? So once we get into the snap counts from yesterday, this is what we are dealing with. Mostert, clear-cut running back 1 with Achane out early. Waddle, he tied a season high for snaps. Yesterday he had 58, so he's probably he's healthy now. He's healthy. That's what that indicator tells me. I mean, had more snaps than Tyreek Hill. So love to see that, right? Obviously, Julian Hill, well, you expected it. He was the tight end 1 with Smythe out, and Craycraft with Berrios out. Craycraft takes the snaps, and he locks in as wide receiver, really 4 for the Miami Dolphins yesterday. As he had about half the amount of snaps as Hill and Wilson. So remember, Hill has a lower snap count. Why? Because of that hand injury where he missed some snaps and Waddle was eaten, right? So Craycraft coming in at wide receiver 4, a healthy dosage of snaps. Chosen only had 5 snaps yesterday, and he's coming in and getting a big amount right off the rip. So love to see that. And, hey, man, Craycraft coming in. It's going to be who's going to be number 3, Cedric or Craycraft in a couple weeks. It's going to be very interesting to see. That's for sure. And when we head over to the defensive snaps, this is what we're looking at. David Long had his fewest amount of snaps since week 1. And AVG, he's out here, he was racking up the snaps. Those are his most snaps in like the last 4 weeks. So AVG racking up them. And hey, look at this. Xavier Howard, Ramsey out there for 100% of the snaps with Deshaun Elliott and Holland. Love it. Wilkins eating up 95% of the snaps. Absolutely good stuff. And, hey, Raekwon Davis only seeing a third of the snaps, but the impact was noticeable when he's out there. And look at Ogba, guys. Ogba down to 7 snaps. Nick Needham down to 1 snap on defense, and not even, if you look at to the right, okay, You look at the 1 with the 2%, that's your defensive snaps. Look at to the right where he has a gap and the other numbers are. Those are special team snaps. Needham didn't even get a special team snap. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a conversation that I had on the phone with someone yesterday after the game, and I'll have it with you. Are Needham's days numbered in Miami? Because since he's returned from injury, his usage has been bottom of bottom of the barrel. And with a guy who's going to need new money, it seems like Nick Needham's days in Miami might be numbered here. And then Deshaun Hand only getting 3 snaps. I mean, go get me Akeem Hicks if he wants to come back. Go get me Akeem Hicks if he wants to come back. Because, please, just get it done. All right, because, Pilley got waived and Deshaun Hand not really doing anything. And Ogba only had 7 snaps for that kind of money. Whoo! Oh, boy. That is just not ideal. So, goodbye Ogba, goodbye Needham is what these snap counts are looking like early on. Now, if there's an injury to Kohu or something, knock on wood, Needham's snap count would probably go way up. But continuing on, let's get into we'll get into right now. I think we'll go ahead and, let's get into the PFF grades for you guys. And this is what we are looking at. So, offensively, your highest graded offensive player was Robbie Chosen on 5 snaps, 93. But, you got to have more than 10 snaps for me in a game. So Tyreek Hill had a 91.7 on 41 snaps. Connor Williams had a 78.5. Austin Jackson had a 75.8. Jalen Waddle had a 70.3. And then Liam Eichenberg had a 69.1. Nice. Look at Liam. Who is this guy over here, huh? Who is this guy over here? When you look at Tua, PFF charted him as being 3 for 4 on the deep level. They had him 5 for 9 on the intermediate level. On the short level, they had him 11 for 13. And then behind the line of scrimmage, they had him a perfect 9 for 9. When Tua was kept clean yesterday, they had him 24 of 31 for 2 touchdowns and a pick, 262 of his yards. An adjusted completion percentage, his completion percentage was 77.4, but it was adjusted to 86.2 with the drops. Average depth of target was about 7.4 yards when he was kept clean, and his yards per attempt was 8.5. His time to throw when he was kept clean was about 2.05 seconds. Under pressure, Tua was 4 for 8 for 63 yards. His adjusted completion percentage was about 66.7. His average depth of target under pressure was 12.2 yards. His yards per attempt was 7.9. His time to throw under pressure was about 3.33 seconds. His NFL passer rating when he was kept clean was a 109.9. When he was under pressure, it was about 76.6. And look at this, though. When he was blitzed, Tua was getting the ball out at 1.86 seconds yesterday. That is very impressive. That is a quick trigger. Oh, my. Now, when you look at the pressures, the Miami Dolphins only allowed 7 pressures yesterday. Lester Cotton allowed 2. And then Julian Hill, Connor Williams, Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson, and Liam Eichenberg all allowed 1. Look at that. Not even 10 pressures allowed yesterday. The trench battle. Let's go. Good stuff to see, man. Very good stuff. Love it. Now, as we hop over to the defense, your defensive grades. Jalen Ramsey had a 90.3. Jerome Baker had an 83.5. Like, how does Jalen Phillips have a 78.2? This man had 2 sacks and an interception. And they also charged him with a QB hit and a QB hurry. So this man had 4 pressures and an interception. 4 run stops they charged him with yesterday as well. And he didn't even crack the 80s. I tell you, this grading, man. Like, I don't know who does this grading, but it's ridiculous. It's. I don't know who's doing this one, but please give me a break. Jalen Phillips should be in the 90s. Are we serious right now? You look at that day. You know how many. You know how many. Who gave up the sacks? Oh, that's easy. Let's find out. Who gave up the sacks? The sacks were given up by Thaler Munford Jr., the right tackle. And he had the interception. I mean, you know how many defensive ends, edge players in the NFL would kill for 4 run stops, 2 sacks, and an interception, along with like 3 tackles. Stop. That grade should be way higher. Anyways, Van Ginkel 77.4, Cater Kohu 75. Like, I thought Cater was in the 80s. Cater was phenomenal. Chubb 73. I thought Chubb was way better than that. Chubb was phenomenal yesterday, I thought. Xavier Howard had the worst grade, and I did not think Xavier Howard was 39.8 worthy. Okay, let's be honest. And Zach Seiler 50.6. I mean, again, who's grading this crap? Now, when you look at the coverage aspect of the game yesterday, Jalen Ramsey was targeted 10 times, allowed 1 reception for 4 yards, had 2 picks. Just an absolute beast. Xavier Howard, he was targeted 9 times, allowed 6 receptions for 66 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 first downs. He allowed 31 yards to Jacoby Myers. Jerome Baker allowed 5 receptions on 5 targets for 49 yards and a first down. Cater Kohu allowed 4 receptions on 5 targets for 36 yards and 2 first downs. Andrew Van Ginkel was targeted 4 times. He allowed 3 receptions for 24 yards, a first down. And he also had that pass breakup on Michael Mayer. David Long targeted twice, allowed 2 receptions for 17 yards. Jalen Phillips in coverage once, targeted once, 1 reception for 9 yards. Javon Holland was targeted once, allowed 1 reception for 46 yards to Devontae Adams, that long touchdown. They charged Javon Holland. Deshaun Elliott targeted once, allowed 1 reception for 20 yards to Devontae Adams as well. So there you go. The safeties got cooked a little bit by PFF's standards. And those are your PFF grades for Week 11. Hey, I mean, 7 pressures, I'll take it. Let's go, baby. Are you kidding me? 7 pressures? Oh, man. We prayed for times like this. Oh, my God, did we ever. Oh, my God, did we ever pray for times like this with what we've been through lately. I know Tua did. So, let's keep it going, man. Let's get into now. That all said, let's get into the passing charts from yesterday. This is Aidan O'Connell's passing chart. Hey, it looked better. Guy was taking more shots than Herbert against us. Got to give him those props, huh? But, you know, Aidan O'Connell spreading the raw ball around a little bit. 24-41, 271 yards. That second half, man. You know, the first half, he looked comfortable. That second half, the pressure was getting there. He started, in the first half, he didn't target Ramsey. In the second half, he started targeting Ramsey. And all of a sudden, he ends up with, a couple picks from Ramsey. And, not a good situation when he was targeting. He was better off going away from him. But that second half was a real disaster for Aidan O'Connell. And, didn't find a lot of success throwing to the left side of the field against the Miami Dolphins defense. Now, as we get into Tua, you talk about spreading the ball around. Tua Tagovailoa, look at this, everywhere. Tua was just throwing it everywhere yesterday. Love it. Didn't matter what side you're on, he's getting you the football. So he was 28 of 39 for 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Man, remember, guys, I'm going to be live tomorrow around 7:30, and we're going to get that. We're going to pump out that. We're gonna pump it out tomorrow so we can all settle down for Hard Knocks and watch Hard Knocks tomorrow. So we'll be live and we'll be done before Hard Knocks. We'll be going. Remember, 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. So we'll be live at 7:30 and Hard Knocks will be at around 9. All right. But anyways, Tua Tagovailoa, great. Even plus 2.4 completion percentage over expected too. So Tua was just clicking. Tua was just getting it done. And I'm here for it. I'm here for every minute of it, in fact. Listen, the stat line was better than Tua's play, I thought, yesterday, but we won. That week's in the books. We don't dwell. We move on. That's what we do here. The next gen stats from yesterday, longest completed air distance was 48.8 yards by Aidan O'Connell and then 41.2 by Tua. Fastest ball carrier was actually Davante Adams, got up to 20.31. Tyreek Hill got up to 20.07. Fastest sack was Max Crosby at 4.2 seconds. Jalen Phillips got there in about 5.8 seconds. You look at the charts right here. Again, 3 for 4. The discrepancies here with Tua's pass, because there always are discrepancies. Let's be honest with ourselves. We always go over them every time. And the discrepancies here is they got the deep right. Now, the intermediate level, the next gen stats only has 8 attempts and Tua being 4 for 8, right? Well, and you look 2 to the right, 2 to the middle, 4 to the left. On the intermediate level on PFF, if you remember, they had 0 throws to the right, 5 of 6 to the middle, and 0 of 3 to the left. So, and even in the middle at the short from line of scrimmage to 10 yards, in the middle they have Tua 7 for 8 here, while PFF had him 8 for 10. On the right, in the short level, they have him 2 for 2 here. PFF had him 1 for 1. On the left, they have him 2 for 3. On Next Gen Stats, PFF had him 2 for 2. Now remember, Next Gen Stats, they have actual technology in the footballs. All right, so they know what they're talking about. In case there's just any discrepancy, Raheem Mostert found a lot of success running off the hip of Armstead yesterday, as 36 of his 86 yards came there. He also found success running in the A and the B gap to that side as well. Josh Jacobs held in check, 14 carries for 39 yards. Man, what a great job. What a great job. The league average for separation by receivers is about 2.95 yards. For Miami, Hill was about 3.83 yards yesterday. Waddle was about 3.51. Chosen was 2.92. Cedric Wilson was 2.67. Julian Hill was about 1.86. On the flip side, Hunter Renfrow was 2.65. Davante Adams was 2.29. Trey Tucker had 0. Jacoby Myers was 3.36. And Michael Mara was about 4.06 yards in terms of separation. You look at average separation from the quarterback. When you look at defensive players and the defensive pass rush, the average is about 4.53 yards. Bradley Chubb was 3.63 yards. Jalen Phillips was 4.03 yards. Saleh was 4.05 yards, and Wilkins was 4.21 yards. All of them under the league average, like beating the league average. Love it. On the flip side, everyone was beyond the league average. Kuntz was 5 yards, Jenkins 5.1, Crosby 5.2, and Adam Butler at 5.44 yards. So, hey man, that offensive line was doing their damn thing yesterday, and because Tua was getting the ball out so quick, they just weren't sniffing him, while Aidan was holding on to it a little bit more. And how many times were we saying, man, we almost got there, because of it, right? So let's get into the main topic of the show here. Why is the Miami Dolphins offense struggling? Now, I'm going to read an article here from Barry Jackson that goes over it. But before we do, let me go over what I think. I think a lot of it is coming down to execution. The same thing we saw on the flip side with the defense early in the season, with the poor fundamentals, the poor tackling, the poor angling in open space, et cetera, et cetera. On the flip side, I think you're seeing poor execution from the offense right now. Better execution from this offense would fix a lot of this stuff. Now, I still think situational play calling hasn't been as good as it needs to be as well. We went over the numbers earlier. You guys know we're not good on 3rd and 4th and short. That's a fact. And, I think a lot of this just comes down from execution from the coach to the players. It's all execution. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to retool the playbook, redesign the plays. It's not anything like that. So I think this just comes down to this team needs to execute. I mean, go to the Chiefs game. Cedric Wilson executes better. We don't have that throw down to the Kansas City 26 that Jalen Waddle caught nullified. That's 3 to 7 points on the board. Better execution leads to the catch from Tyreek Hill at the 30-yard line. That's 3 to 7 points on the board. Better execution leads to Tyreek Hill not fumbling at the 31-yard line later in the first half. And what happens? What happens? We get 3 to 7 points, and 7 points come off the board for Kansas City. All right? Better execution by 2 on the final drive. What happens? We tie that game. That's what this comes down to. The execution needs to be better. It's like these two units have flipped. That's what it looks like. And let's get into this. I'll expand on that a bit more here. Right here, exploring the Dolphins' offensive drop-off, reasons behind it, and Miami's response. 6 weeks ago, the question was whether the Dolphins could become the most prolific offense in NFL season single history. Now the question is whether they can muster more than a couple of touchdowns against good teams and stout defenses. After averaging 37.2 points per game in the first 6 games, the Dolphins are averaging 18.7 in their past 4. And several strong defenses await. Next up, the Jets, who are 11th in points permitted, but second in generating pressure on the quarterback. The 7-3 Dolphins and 4-6 Jets meet on Friday in New Jersey. They're one of the more talented groups in the league, Jalen Waddle said. It's going to be a challenge. And beyond 2 games against the Jets in the next month, other difficult defenses assignments await the Dolphins. Dallas, which visits Miami on December 24th, is 5th in points allowed. Baltimore, which hosts the Dolphins on December 31st, is 3rd. And Buffalo, which visits Miami in the regular season finale, is 4th. So here's a question for Coach Mike McDaniel. Do the Dolphins simply need to do what they do better, including eliminating turnovers, or must they add new wrinkles against good defenses? McDaniel suggested both. On one hand, he said coaches are giving players different presentations, and that's something that is part of our job, to give players something to give them a competitive advantage. On the other hand, the recent decline in production doesn't mean we have to retool the toolbox, McDaniel said. What does the 20-13 win against the Raiders look like if we don't turn the ball over 3 times? If we weren't able to move the ball, I would feel differently. And I agree with that. You know what I mean? Like, what if I named those 3 instances in the Chiefs game? What if they, Cedric Wilson doesn't take the penalty? Hill doesn't drop the pass, and then Hill doesn't make a fumble later. I mean, that game's a totally different outcome. The Dolphins muster and it's the same thing with the Philly. What if Hill catches that walk-in touchdown that he dropped, right? The Dolphins mustered just 1 offensive touchdown against an Eagles defense that ranks 17th in points allowed, 2 against the Chiefs defense that ranks 2nd, and 2 against a Raiders defense that ranks 13th. One issue has been short yardage play. Tua Tagovailoa has been above average in the past 4 games, completing 68% of his passes and producing a passer rating of 95.4, down from his 106 rating for the season. The 106 is 2nd in the NFL behind Brock Purdy. But he has 3 interceptions and fumbled 3 times in those 4 games. The common theme with his 8 interceptions is miscommunication, and that starts with me, said Tagovailoa, who has 21 touchdown passes. Maybe I have to talk to the guys and express certain routes to them differently, and the running game hasn't been nearly as effective as well. After averaging 6.5 yards per carry in the first 6 games of the season, Miami has averaged just 3.9 in the past 4. Part of that can explain by the absence of rookie phenom Devin Achane, who was averaging 12.1 per carry prior to his knee injury that sidelined him 4 games and led to his departure after just 3 snaps against the Raiders. McDaniel said Monday that Achane won't need surgery, but the team is still evaluating the injury. Achane was feeling better on Monday. Part of the yards per carry fall-off likely can be attributed to injuries on the offensive line. Robert Hunt, one of the top right guards in football this season, missed the past 2 games with a hamstring injury, and he's questionable for Friday, as are tight end Durham Smythe and receivers Chase Claypool and Braxton Berrios. Isaiah Wynn, who's playing very well at left guard, hasn't played since sustaining a significant quadriceps injury in the Philly game. Tyreek Hill spoke of teams experimenting with creative approaches to try and stop the Dolphins' offense, which ended September on pace to set several single-season NFL records for the offense, but is no longer on that pace. As an example, the Patriots with Coach Belichick with the 3-safety look is something we've never seen before, Tyreek Hill said. They had both safeties down, trying to get hands on me and Jalen, trying not to allow the ball to get outside them. So we've been seeing a bunch of unusual things. It's something that we will adjust to. And they did adjust to that, right? They beat it. Opposing teams played 2 deep safeties against Miami 51% of the time last year, second most in the NFL, and I don't think that's subsided this year, McDaniel said. A lot of our success has come against 2 deep because we get a lot of it, the coach added. That's a challenge presented to us every game. Try to make us earn everything we get because they see on tape we have very explosive capabilities. Whatever they're taking away, we need to make them pay for it. Some weeks we do better jobs than others. That won't change what we're trying to do. Playing against 2 deep safeties is something we have to get better at, Waddle said. But Hill said Chiefs' good work against Miami's offense was a result of execution, not trying anything unusual. Fullback Alec Ingold said coaches have been hard on themselves when the offense isn't humming. The one thing I would say about our coaching staff is they challenge themselves more than any other coaches I've been around. Before we headed on the bye, they were extremely hard on themselves, just like every player here. And the more wrinkles that the Dolphins haven't shown offensively but could use in the weeks ahead, it's probably too soon to tell all the adjustments that are going to be made down the stretch. There is an infinite number of wrinkles that Mike has proven he has. And, you know, they made the point. It's not like we're struggling to move the football. We're moving the football. If we were stagnant and not getting yards against the bad teams, then okay, we would have to have a conversation here. But it goes down to self-inflicted wounds, lack of execution because we're our own worst enemy at times. That's the issue. And, you know, got to get better at that. Got to get better with the execution. And that's what this all comes down to, from the coaching staff down to the players. This isn't a reinvent the wheel. I know he's got wrinkles he's worked on. We're still in week 11. We're not going to start showing everything. I don't think you'll start seeing stuff till late in the season, into the playoffs. Ride this as much as you can. So, again, I said this. I think it comes down to execution. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've seen the potential of this offense. We've seen them beat things they've seen the first time, like that 3-safety dual robber, buzz look that we kept getting from Belichick. We saw Belichick throw everything in the kitchen sink at us. And a lot of the games we've lost has come down, other than the Bills game, has come down to just poor execution. And we've left points on the board 3 or 4 times a game that could have been the difference in blowing out Las Vegas instead of beating them by 7 and kneeing on that final drive against KC and Frankfurt instead of trying to throw the game-tying touchdown. Interesting stat, too, I wanted to pass along to you guys. Look at this. Most consecutive games with a passing touchdowns in Dolphins history. Tua just tied Dan Marino and Dan Marino. Dan Marino did it in 84, 94. Tua now has 19. The streak is obviously 30 when Dan Marino did it from, November 10th, 1985, all the way to November 22nd, 1987. Right now, Tua Tagovailoa has thrown a touchdown in every game since October 23rd, 2022 to now November 19th, 2013. So, again, seeing stuff we haven't seen any quarterback even come close to. And, it's, listen, and here's the other issue. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. You want the cold, hard truth? The Dolphins are 21-9 in the last 30 games started by Tua Tagovailoa. That's just a fact. And Tua is the first to 30 wins in the regular season between him, Burrow, and Herbert. And he's played 6 less games than Burrow and 13 less than Herbert. And right now, he's Tua's 30-16. Burrow's 29-22-1. Justin Herbert's 29-30. Yes, Justin Herbert is under 500 as a starter, people. Why not us says, I think we really could win out. 14-3. This gets us number 1 seed. Chiefs will lose 2. Appreciate you and all your hard work, Reason. Thank you very much. Why not us? Hey, man. I think this team can win out too. This team's going to hit stride. I'm not worried. This team, when they hit their stride, look out, ladies and gentlemen. Look out. Finally, here's a playoff look for all of you guys. Look at this right now. The Dolphins have a 97% chance to make the playoffs, a 90% chance to win the division, and a 15% chance for the round 1 bye, 11% chance to win the Super Bowl. Love it. Look at this. Let's go, baby. And when you dive, look at the Chiefs. Got a 98% chance to get that bye. We have the, what? Sorry, they have a 54% chance of getting that bye. Right now, we are tied with what? We are tied with the Ravens with the second best percentage chance to get that first round bye. And we have the second best percentage chance in the AFC to make the Super Bowl at 11%. The Ravens are 10%. Chiefs are 15%. And we have the fourth best overall? Because it goes the Eagles, the Chiefs, the 49ers, and then us. Now, when you look at this, I mean, look at this. 15% chance of the bye week, 74% chance to host the wild card, 8% chance of being on the road in the wild card, and only 3% chance of being out. So this Miami Dolphins team, they got a real chance right now. They control their own fate. The Miami Dolphins control their own fate right now. 97% chance at making the playoffs. There's nothing else to it. This team controls their own fate right now, and they need to get it done. We need that execution back on offense to marry with the execution we're getting on defense. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. Right now, guys, I want you to think of this. Since Jalen Ramsey has returned from injury, this Dolphins defense has allowed 17 points, 14 points, and 17 points. They allowed under 21 points only twice in 7 games before he returned, and they've allowed under 21 points in all 3 games since he returned. Jalen Ramsey is an impact player, and he's made a difference, and a massive difference on this team. And I really think, when we can marry this offense with this defense, and they can both get clicking on the same page, this is going to become the most dangerous team in the NFL. Guys, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. This is going to become the most dangerous team in the NFL. That's all there is to it. Guys, I want to take a chance to thank my Patreons, my Patreon supporters, my channel members. You guys are amazing. You guys support the channel any which way you can. Thank you so much. I actually got to update this list, and because I've had some people join since. But hey, if you're not a channel member, if you're not a Patreon, if you can't afford to donate, do me the favor. It costs you nothing, and it takes less than 5 seconds. Smash the like button and subscribe if you are new. It goes a long way. It helps me out with my pal algorithm. It helps me out. So please, I already screwed myself big time yesterday because I don't think Robert Thomason was the only one that picked it up. I actually went live by accident on a different stream than the live reaction stream yesterday, and ended up nuking my live reaction and the post-game show. It is what it is, but that's just how YouTube works when you go live the way I do. But hey, so do me the favor, smash the like button. I appreciate all you. I am going to be back tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern with Martin. We will break down all of Tua Tagovailoa's dropbacks. There's about 40, 41 of them. We'll blow through that so we can all sit down and enjoy Hard Knocks at 9 p.m. tomorrow. And then Wednesday, I'll be live with Richmond and Ball Game. No episode of The Finish Line this week because Neil is, it's Thanksgiving, but I'll be live to give you guys my preview. And then we will be live on Friday for Black Friday, Jets, Dolphins. So be on the lookout for that. Man, we got a lot of stuff going on. So, man, I appreciate all of you for coming through. The Dolphins are 7-3. Last year they got into 8-3, and then things went a little sideways. I ain't worried this year. Let's get to 8-3 against the Jets. Yeah, they're gonna come out. That defense, you can listen. If you can beat that defense handily twice in 5 weeks, I'm gonna tell you this right now. They might not be a good team, but that's a damn good defense. And if you can do a number to that defense, that's something to hang your hat on. That is definitely something to hang your hat on. So this is going to be a good test for this offense to get back to where we need them to get back. All right? So, again, do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Appreciate all you for coming through. Have a fantastic rest of the Monday evening. I will see all of you tomorrow. You already know what time it is, baby. Fins up all day, every day. Have a great night, everyone. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all.